right, y'all. Right here we have this electric grinder set. This company sent this to me so I could show this thing off to you guys. So thank you to them for partnering with me on this. I've got some salt and pepper over here. Actually some peppercorns. And this is some coarse grain salt as well. And we're gonna test this thing out to see how well it works. But first, let's see what we got on the inside. So you got, of course, your charging cord right here. This is a USB-A to USB-C right there. And this is a solid, that's a solid like 3-foot cord right there. So you can definitely be able to get it to where you need to go. Let's see, this right here are your two grinders, one for the salt and one for the pepper. And then you have this little guy right here is your base station. I believe that's also where they're gonna charge. Got some instructions in here. They do give you a little broom thing. I guess if something gets stuck, you can kind of clean it all up in there. But that's everything. So let's go ahead and get this thing working. So this right here is your charging base. Looks like you got your charging ports on the back right here where the grinder will just simply sit in there. So there's no like plugging in or anything. You just simply sit it down and it starts charging, which is nice. It looks like it's got little nougats on the bottom there for it to sit into. USB-C charging port on the back right there. That obviously is where this is going to go in. So let's go ahead and get that set up. Goes in easily, makes a nice little click sound. If I can get it through. There we go. Come on. Just like that. And then as I mentioned, you have the nice long cord, so you're able to plug it in where you need. I got a plugger up here, so let me just get that in. All right, on the base station, I don't see any type of indicator lights, so I did want to point that out, although I don't think it's necessary because you're going to be connecting the grinder to this, and I'm assuming that the grinder is probably going to have some kind of indicator light. So let's get into the grinders right here. This right here is going to be where it's going to hit those charging ports so that it can charge. And then you have a button up top here. I'm assuming that is to get the burr rotating in there. This is what your bottom of it looks like right there. Let's go ahead and press it and see if we have any charge. Oh yeah. Okay, you can see the axle on the inside there rotating. I notice that there is a lock and unlock symbol right here. So that, I'm assuming, is how you load it up right there. So you're just going to pour all your things on into there. You got your gear and motor in the top part right here, and that's what slides on over the axle there. Then just simply close. Now you can also adjust your fineness or coarseness right here as well. So you just there's a little arrow right here. You'll see that? It's a little black arrow. There it is. And then they have all the dots on the bottom, so you just choose whether you want coarse or you want grind. So very easy to choose, but just simply turn it. And there are 6 different settings right there, which is super cool. Oop. All right, so let's put that right there. Let's see if we can get rid of all this. This is actually really self-explanatory. Let's go ahead and get this one on out. Same thing. Another thing that I noticed too is that there's a little light that turns on whenever you press the button. Y'all see that? Yeah, so you can kind of see how much is in there. You can probably, the light comes all the way through to the bottom, so you can actually see your food and see how much pepper or salt you're putting onto there. So that's really cool as well. All right, let's see. We don't need that. I got a little plate right here, something to where we can see both pepper and salt on. Let's go ahead and fill this on up. Just going to open that up. Little pouch right here, and I'm just going to pour some right on into there. Just to give you guys an idea of what we're putting into there. This is some really coarse salt right there. So I'm really curious to know how that burr is going to perform with this type of coarse salt. Very easy to fill, especially if it's coming from a bag. You can create a spout for it to be able to get your salt into there. Now let's line up that axle onto the motor, lock it into place, and your salt is ready to go. Let's do it at the most fine too, because I'm curious to see what that's like. Just while we're waiting, we'll let it charge. Just simply sit it right there. Oh look, I just noticed on each grinder at the top right here, there's a little light. Y'all can see that it's red right now. which means that it is charging. So I'm glad that we saw that so that we can get it charged while I put in the pepper. All right, so for the pepper, just gonna open it on up again. Now this one's coming from a jar, so I can't put in, I don't have that spout mechanism to be able to help guide it in. So I'm really kind of curious to see how the peppercorns go into this one, being that I don't have that spout. Yeah, since they just kind of, they're ball-like, they just roll right on in. Easy to fill. Just like that. 1 or 2 on the plate right there. Perfect. Okay, let me go ahead and lock and load this one. Let's see. There you go. Put that one charging right there while I clean up this. All right, let's get a close-up of this now. Let's see how this performs. So this right here is our plate. We got our salt right here. It's on the finest setting right here. So let's go ahead and press that button and see what we get. Oh, look at that. Woo, man, look at that. That is awesome. So we're going from this coarseness all the way to that fineness right there. That is amazing. Okay, I'm going to go through each setting as well, just so we can see the difference. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think I'm going to like the fine one the best, so just simply bring it on back to that one. So just to get a close-up of each one, this is the finest one right here, and then we just went clockwise all the way around, and you can see how they get just a little bit bigger with each grind, which is awesome because it gives you so many different coarsenesses based on what you're cooking. And I'm impressed that it was able to really grind down these big old giant, chunks of salt right here into these 6 different finenesses, coarsenesses. I don't know what you want to call it right there. Grinds. How about that? All right, so now let's try our pepper. You know what? I'm just going to do the pepper right on top of the salt because I think that's going to actually help us to be able to see it a little bit better, being that the pepper is dark and the salt is white. So let me go ahead and grab this. We're going to put it, let's see, our little arrow. Let's put it onto, we'll go the finest first, and then we'll make our way like we did to go with the coarsest. All right, let me bring you guys on down and up close and personal. Here we go. Also, the ergonomics of this is actually quite nice. Since it's just a cylinder and your button's right here on the top, your finger kind of fits right in line with pressing that button. Normally you would have to, a manual grinder, you'd have to do something like this, where that finger would already be there. And so this is perfect for that. All right, here we go. Yeah, nice fine grind coming out of there. Let's see, let's go a little coarser. I'm just gonna go around. Okay, do another. Okay. Okay, number 5. And 6. All right, so what do we have here? Let's take a look at this. So in the middle is our finest right there, which I gotta say, that is nice and small, which is what you might want whenever you're just, adding a little bit of seasoning to something. Then, of course, we have our second grind right there, which is a little bit more coarse. And then we have this one right here, which is our third coarseness, getting more coarse. Then we have the fourth one right here. Then we have the fifth one here. And then your coarsest one is right here on the edge. And you can see that there is a big difference between what we have here and what we have here with the fine one, because it's, you know, that's two opposite ends of the spectrum. But you can definitely tell a difference between all 6 grinds right there. So you're getting some fantastic variety in your grinds if you're looking for that, you know, depending on what you're cooking and if you want to have that strong bite of pepper or if you just want it to kind of be a sprinkle. So if y'all are looking for a fantastic electric grinder, this worked for me fantastic right out of the box. So y'all definitely go and grab y'all one of these if this is something that you're looking for. Thank y'all for watching. Let me know if this was helpful. If it was, consider adding this to your cart, and dad out.